Hey everybody, how's everything going? Um, so today we have it's a little bit after lunch, so lunchtime talk with Steve. Today we have Kelly Davis that's going to be running for. He actually is running for commissioner in the city of Lauderhill. And he's running for seat number 3. So we're going to have him come back and talk with us in just a moment, talking about some of the things that he's doing, some of the things that he's done in the community, and all that good stuff. So we'll be back in just a second. All right. Use this time to go ahead and share it to your favorite group. Let all your friends, your relatives, and everybody know that it's lunchtime and Steve is on. All right, there we go. Yeah, I think my earbud is acting up. It's causing my I don't know. So anyhow, I got to go back to the old-fashioned headsets, but that's okay though. That's how we do when it's live, and we got to make sure that we always have a contingency plan. You know how it goes. Anyhow, so back to what I was talking about. We have with us today Kelly Davis. I know him as Big Man Kelly. All you guys know him as Big Man Kelly because you've heard him on WEDR, on the radio, and all these different things on Hot 105. You heard him on so many different stations. This is the man. So anyhow, let's bring him in with us. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Steve? How you doing?
I am doing awesomely awesome as always, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Considering, listen, we're all dealing with the whole, COVID-19 thing, and by the way, please forgive me if I look to my right because I'm looking at my monitor in the studio. So I'm kind of looking up at myself, seeing how this face is not as pretty as the face down there. So.
I hear you. I know how it is when you have that monitor and you have to keep looking at it just to make sure everything is going right. And all that good stuff. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself first before we start talking about your campaign. Who is, and as I like to call you, as I know you as Big Man Kelly. Who is Big Man Kelly?
Well, the first thing, the interesting thing is that's also how I'm listed on the ballot. I'm listed as Kelly, Big Man Kelly Davis, because that's how a lot of people know me. Listen, you guys have a lot of you who have lived in South Florida for the past 30 years. You've heard about me on Hot 105, on 99 Jams, on the club scene. But one of the things that came with being this radio personality, being this DJ, was there came a responsibility to the community. And so growing up, my goal was to be, the very best DJ around, not realizing that there was another calling that came with this. And that was a responsibility to be a community advocate, just to be somebody who is fighting for those people who don't have a champion. So that's kind of in it in a nutshell. Wait, I can't also forget I'm also a husband. I have four children. The twin boys, Jacob and Jonathan, are 6. And actually today is my son, Bryce, my oldest boy. He is 13 today. And then I have a daughter, 24, and soon to be a grandfather.
Wow.
I know. I can't believe it. I can't believe it at you know, I still couldn't believe for years that I'm like, wow, I'm somebody's father, and then all of a sudden, I've got 3 more children.
Now
Um,
you his grandfather.
now I'm gonna be at in October. I'll be listed as a grandfather, which is uh,
Congratulations, man.
it's
Congratulations.
interesting, Steve. Excuse me. It's interesting to have that title of grandfather. I don't know if I was prepared for that, but I didn't have much of a choice in it. So, um, but yeah. So that's I'm a dad. I'm a lover of music. I'm a lover of people. But more importantly, when there's a situation that comes about in this community where we're not getting the help that we need, and it could be something like a family losing everything in a fire, or during one of the hurricanes, and I'll talk about that later. The fact that the electricity in certain parts of the city of Lauderhill, there was no rush to get that electricity on, and so I was helping families in the area that we call Parkway. That's just one of those things. I've put on many toy drive for years, whether it's a toy drive or whether it's a book bag giveaway. These are things that I've done for years, and I got to be honest with you, I had no intentions of getting involved in politics, and I kind of go with the saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. And my plan was to never be a car salesman and never get involved in politics. Well, God is laughing at me right now. So I was formerly an internet manager at Lubac Road Chevrolet, and I'm now running for commissioner of City of Lauderhill, seat 3. So that's kind of the short and skinny of it.
So tell us a little bit about what made you decide then to get into politics. I mean, you spoke about the issues over in the Parkway area. I mean, we could talk about the Deep Side area. We could talk about so many different areas. But what made you, like you said, you grew up in the area. So what made you all of a sudden just, well, not all of a sudden, but what made you jump into politics? What made you say, I want to do this?
Well, it wasn't. It was a jump and it wasn't a jump, and I say that because I'm a believer, and I spend time praying. Usually, the time that I pray the most is in the shower in the morning. That's because it's quiet. There's no kids bothering me and all that, and so I'm having this opportunity to be in front of God. To be honest with you, at my most vulnerable point, and what happened this particular day, about give or take 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. I literally said, God, what is my next level of serving my community? And the response I got was, you need to run for commission. I was like, what? I don't want to do politics. I don't, that's not, but, and actually there were steps that happened after that. Around the same time, my mother decided to run for commissioner of City of Lauderdale Lakes, which is our neighboring city. And simultaneously, I was also asked to do some social media stuff with Andrew Gillum's campaign. So I realized that even though I received that message that this is what I should do, it didn't say do it right now. And then things came in the way that allowed me to get some more knowledge and information about how this thing works. Working on my mother's campaign, Marilyn Davis, who is now commissioner in City of Lauderdale Lakes, working on Andrew Gillum's campaign, following that campaign around, doing the interviews, and seeing how some of the insides work inside this political machine. So that gave me a little more insight to say, okay, do I really want to do this? Absolutely. Is it going to be difficult? Yes, it is, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
And for those who don't know, because I mean, I have viewers all over the world. Andrew Gillum was actually the Black candidate for governor.
Yes.
The last go around, he was our gubernatorial candidate. He came really close to winning too. I mean, it was like a slim margin actually.
Well, I got to be honest with you, Steve, and that kind of alludes to one of the things that I've always been a push for, and that is for Black people voting. And let me tell you, I'm going to try to see if I can pull up these statistics real quick on my phone that I want to share with you. One of the things that, during these election times, you know what happens? Have you ever noticed that there is always a push for Black people to get involved? And let me tell you why. Because our vote does count. A lot of times you hear, oh, my vote, I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't count. Let me just read these off to you real quick. Trump won Wisconsin in the state of Wisconsin by 23,000 votes. In the city of Milwaukee, 93,000 Black people did not vote.
Wow.
In Florida, Trump won Florida by 113,000 votes. In Miami, 379,000 Black people didn't vote. In the state of Michigan, Trump won by only 11,000 votes. In the city of Detroit, 277,000 Black people didn't vote. And in in Pennsylvania, Trump won by 44,000 votes. In the city of Philadelphia, 238,000 Black people didn't vote. Now let me get this last one. This last one is a big one. Georgia. Trump won Georgia by 211,000 votes. In the city of Atlanta, Chocolate City, 530,000 Black people didn't vote. So
basically, if we came out to vote, we would have seen a different result.
Listen, why do you think that our vote is always, we're the swing vote? You hear about you always hear about the swing voter that's on the fence. It's not that we're on the fence, it's that we've got to participate more because they see our vote can change an election. It really can. So I urge people, young people. I mean, in our last election, I was literally people that were assisting me with Gillum's campaign. I was getting phone calls. They were saying, Kelly, can you call this person? They're not going to the polls. I need you to convince this person. And I was literally calling individuals and saying, you need to vote. Your vote does count. Because here's what happens. If Tyrone decides that he doesn't want to vote and he tells his homeboy Jay, and Jay tells John, and John tells Marsha, and Marsha tells Marilyn, and so on, you got a whole bunch of people that believe their vote doesn't count, and they don't count because they didn't use it. So exactly. I've always been one of those who has pushed, and not just Black people, but any people. We live in the United States of America. We should be participating in the process, no matter who you are. If you participate in the process, you can make the change.
Definitely. And I tell people that all the time. I mean, the people that fought and died for the right to vote, for us to just throw it away like nothing. That's almost like me walking 20 blocks or 20 miles, let's just say, to go get you a pizza and a soda. And when I come back, you just take it and you throw it away. And you go, I don't want that.
Well,
I walked 20 miles through the hot sun, the pouring hail and sleet and everything. I did all that just to bring you back something to eat. And then you throw it away and say, I don't want it. I mean, could you imagine? So now imagine the people that went out there and worked. I mean, like literally died so that we can get that right to vote. And then we're like, yeah, I'm not going to go.
Well, let me just tell you the interesting part, Steve, also is that I'm just checking the settings on my phone here. When you hear from this younger generation, and I got to be honest with you, they're not feeling that message of, oh well, people fought and died for, even though that really did happen. They want to hear a different message because that has been the message, and it is a real message. I get it. Listen, I was born in 1970, so I was born only a few years after Black people got the right to vote. And I got to be honest with you, at soon to be 50 years old on July 31st, I understand that people died for our right to vote, but we need to have, for this younger generation, we need to have a next level message for them on why they should need to vote.
What do you think that message should be?
I think the message should be, now is your time. Now is your time to show that you do matter. I mean, you look at the protests that have taken place in the past month or so with Black Lives Matter. It's happened not just in Minnesota, but it happened in Africa. It happened in England. It happened in Australia. It's global. So the great thing about this is that this generation, they get it. So now we've got to give them that message and show them, you know what? You really do matter. You are important. That's why we need you. That's why we need you to participate in this process. So the message, I think, again, we still need to keep that historical message of saying, yes, somebody fought and died, but now it's your turn to take up the torch and get into the fight and fight in a different manner.
Well, do you think it's also because a lot of this isn't taught in school? I mean, in our schools, I should say, in the majority of our schools, we're not seeing the urgency, or we're not seeing any of the history put on how much our vote really impacted history. Like, I mean, there's a lot that our vote did in history, and when we don't hear about it, so I mean, do you think that the education system plays a lot in that, or what do you think?
You know what? At this point, the education system can take some blame, but not all the blame. And let me tell you why. This thing right here.
That's true. The internet, everyone can have access to it.
I posted first thing. Let me tell you how my evening went last night. Myself, my wife, and my 13-year-old were up late last night till about 12 o'clock. Let me tell you what we're watching: the story about Harriet Tubman. That was the first time I had seen that story told of her. And
that was a good movie, by the way.
Yeah,
it was on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it was on. No, it was actually, it's on HBO, if I'm not mistaken. It's showing on HBO.
I saw one on Netflix too. It was really good.
Yeah, but this was the one that was released in the movie theaters, I think, about a year or so ago. But I also, when I got into bed last night, I put on a little post. On that post, I talked about the things that I've been studying during this time. I'm just going to take a quick look at them. I don't want to misquote myself. But basically, I said that I had been studying everything from Martin to Malcolm, and from Harriet to James Baldwin, and that's what I've been doing during this time. And I'm not just looking at those four people. I'm looking at everything, every aspect of educating myself on who I am. So, but guess what? We can find it here. It's there. So I think that we can partially blame the educational system, but there's a part in that responsibility where we have to take the blame and say, my wife is an educator. So there is a different focus, I would say, from some houses because of my wife being an educator. So, even during the summer with the twins who were just in kindergarten, taking time to do things, a little bit different things during the summer. So we have the tools right now, because let me tell you something. Almost everybody in the world has this device. And if you have this device taps you into knowledge. And don't get me wrong. I think it's great that we want to use social media to have fun and enjoy ourselves. But at the same time, if you notice, if you've ever watched on your phone, have you ever noticed about advertising and all this other stuff? So there's a lot of business being done. There's a lot of history being made. We can study our own stories, and we can write the new story about who we are, just based upon what's on the internet.
Well, we have a question that Earl just sent in. He said, "What do you think of mail-in ballots?"
Actually, I think that's a great question. Here's one I'm all for it. Actually, I was listening to WLRN the other day, and in the conversation with the Dade County Supervisor of Elections, the expectation is that there's going to be a 60%. They're expecting a 60% turnout just in mail-in ballots. So they're preparing for that. I was looking on the Broward Supervisor of Elections the other day. So they start mailing out, which the cutoff date, I believe, was Monday. If you want to get a mail-in ballot here in Broward County for the primary that's coming up. By the way, I'm not running in the primary. My election is not till November. I don't want you guys to get confused. But they start mailing out those ballots about 40 days before the election to give time for those people to return those ballots. So I'm all for it. And let me tell you something. The whole thing of voter fraud, that there's this wide scale voter fraud, it's actually a myth. It's not a reality. That's something that has been that has been shoved down our throats. There's no widespread voter fraud. It just doesn't exist.
So, all right. So let's see. Let's go back to now. Your campaign, and you
Mm-hmm.
were talking about the Parkway area.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the area that you're running for. What section of Lauderhill is that?
Well, Lauderhill, there's no the seat doesn't represent a zone. We have seats, but it doesn't represent a particular population. So everybody in the city of Lauderhill can make a decision on whether I'm going to be the next commissioner. So it's not one particular area. But I brought up that area because that area again that we call Parkway and also Broward Estates, those areas were part of unincorporated Fort Lauderdale and became incorporated into the city of Lauderhill a few years ago. And I also, when I first moved to Florida, I went to Parkway Middle School for about a year. When I first moved there, I was living with my grandparents who lived in Melrose Park, which was just on the other side of Broward, literally like one block off of Broward. So I went to Parkway Middle School and I saw the difference in the divide from houses in Melrose Park to what it looked like in that area we call Parkway. And it shouldn't be like that. There are families that have been in that neighborhood forever, and there's a lot of pride in that neighborhood. And so one of the things that I believe in is what I call Lauderhill for all, that everything that can be done in Inverary should be done in Parkway. Everything that's done in Inverary should be done in Deep Side and Shallow Side. So one of my campaign slogans is Lauderhill for all. I want to see all those benefits that we have. It should be spread across the board. The other great thing is that there are programs that are going to do things such as help people go from renting into home ownership, and that's one of the things that I'm pushing in the city of Lauderhill. We need more home ownership. We just had a commissioners meeting about a week ago, and one of the, like for instance, the Inverary Hotel, they want to convert that into an apartment. I'm not for that. And even we have other developers. They're coming to our cities and they want to do developments, but they only want to do rentals. I'm not for that. I think we have plenty of rentals in Lauderhill. I think we need to bring in a developer that's going to promote home ownership. What that does for the city as a whole, it actually builds value. It builds value to our city. It builds value to the neighbors. So,
but even when you look at when you look at rental in general, and I tell people this all the time. I mean, let's just look at the pandemic that we have now. You've been renting your apartment for the past 30 years. And guess what? You missed that 1 month or the 2 months. And let's say they were nice enough to give you 2 months because of the pandemic, and you're out the door. There's no equity in renting. And that's what people need to start to realize. There is no equity in renting. Whereas if you have a house, first off, if you can afford the payments or whatever, it's going to take at least a good year or two before they foreclose and you get kicked out. But just say, for example, you say, okay, well, I want to get rid of the house. If you had that house for 10 years or whatever, you have equity in your house. Now, when you sell that house, not only do you sell off your problem, but you get paid to walk away from your problem. It's like, people, we got to do better. And like you were just saying before, I mean, now the phone that we have has all this information. And I always say, when you know better, you do better. Well, now we know better. I mean, it's time for us to do better. And are they going to turn that? Were they thinking of turning Inverary Hotel into apartments, or were they probably looking at condos?
No, they were the owner wants to because hotels are not open. They want to look at turning it into rentals. But just going back to the situation of home ownership, let me tell you something. Here is how you create generational wealth. It's actually one of the ways is through home ownership. And let me tell you how that works. If you're perfect example, you take the example of somebody who's been renting for 30 years. Well, let me tell you something. In 30 years of rental, you could have paid for a house. Okay. Yep. Now, here's what happens. Now you have first thing, you have a property that you can leave to your children and your grandchildren. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is you now have a property that has value that you can borrow against to do things such as pay for college, start a business, buy another property, and turn that property into a rental property. These are the things that needs to happen so that it will create the generational wealth that every other American has been able to participate in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're looking at. It's like right now the city of Lauderhill has the Windermere project. I remember when those condos were like the place to live on 55th. Matter of fact, one of my second apartment that I had was on 56th Avenue in Habitat 2. And I was renting, and actually I was close to buying at that condo, which I made the mistake of not doing, big mistake, because I was young and I had fears, which I shouldn't have had. That means I would have had a property that I owned back then that I could be renting or could have sold. My wife and I have the property in where we live in Inverary, but that's one of the keys that I want to see our citizens in Lauderhill take advantage of, to turn them from renters to real estate owners.
And Jackie Gleason's house was for sale. Like 2 years ago or something in your neighborhood?
Yeah, actually, that I live in the hills of Inverary, which is literally right behind where City Hall is located, and so that's the area where Jackie Gleason's house is. The property was sold. They redid the property and did all the upgrades. And let me tell you something, that property at one point was on the market for like $1 million. No, my house is not worth that kind of money. But let me tell you this, it goes back to a certain mentality of city. Let me tell you something. The city of Lauderhill was Coral Springs before there was Coral Springs. Let me just say that.
Especially the Inverary part. I mean, all over it. Because I remember, like you were saying, going down 50. I used to live on 56. Oh gosh, about 30 years ago.
Right.
And then and I remember we're in 56, 55th, all those areas, mostly gated communities. You had to. Before you had all these like Weston and everything, that's pretty much where it was. And people don't realize. So let me ask you, what is it that you would do to change the narrative of Lauderhill? Because every time you turn on the news and you hear Lauderhill, it's not, and there's a lot of good that happens in Lauderhill, but what would you do to help to change the whole narrative?
Well, Steve, one of the things that I think we need to do is have a better communication of the great programs that we have in Lauderhill. Perfect example, how we were able to even get the house in Inverary was, now this wasn't a city program, but this was a program, I believe, because my wife is an educator. We were able to get like a $10,000 grant to help us purchase the house. Lauderhill has similar programs that are available that will assist you with becoming a homeowner. Okay, so one of the things that I would do is just make sure that we have a better communications of our current programs, which we do have in the city of Lauderhill. I would try to focus on seeing if the city can get more federal programs to help with down payment assistance, which is usually a big problem. Excuse me. I remember I saw a post recently. I think I shared it on my Facebook page, and a young lady was sitting down with the I guess trying to get a closing on a house, and the real estate agent or the mortgage broker said, well, why don't you just borrow $50,000 from one of your relatives? You can get some down payment assistance. Right. I see you laughing, because that's not something that we can normally do, because
who's this guy, Trump? He just got a small loan of $2 million. I mean,
but want me to tell you something? That's what I mean about the generational wealth, and that's how we can close the wealth gap. Is that guess what? If I have this property in Inverary, and let's say I'm looking at buying another house, I can take some equity out of my property in Inverary and buy that second house.
Exactly.
And then now I've got two pieces of property that have generated some type of wealth. So then, you know what? Let's say my kids want to buy a house. I can say, okay, well, let me take some of the equity out of the house and then help you guys out with a down payment.
Or even if your kids want a house, you can give your kids one of those houses,
Sure,
or
sure,
you
sure.
put this way now your kid already got some equity, and they have that generational wealth already started on their own.
Mhm.
Hey, Kelly, give me just a moment. I got to run a quick commercial, and then I'll be right back with you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let me tell you about CCTV RX. With over 30 years in the security industry here in South Florida, they have proven themselves to be the first choice when it comes to security professionals. So whether you're trying to secure your home or your business, there's no other choice. Give them a call today for a free estimate. 754-213-2820. If your car could talk, it would say call Curvin's Car Detailing Service. It's mobile and they can come to you no matter where you are in Broward County. Give Curvin a call, 954-549-8507, and tell him that Steve sent you.
Whoa, did you guys see that? If that happens to you, call me at 305-316-8815 and I will help connect you with people that will fight for you.
All right, so we are back with Big Man Kelly. Kelly, as you're listed on the ballot, you're Kelly Big Man Kelly Davis.
Yes. If you look on the little flyer right there, see how it goes like right down on that side, right in there. That's what it's going to look like on the ballot. I love the technology, man.
I know, right? And he's running for seat 3 for the commission of Lauderhill. And if you guys live in Lauderhill, go ahead and check him out, give him a call, and question him. I'm telling you, I tell people all the time, anyone that's running for office, ask them the simple question: what are you going to do for me? That's what I like to ask people, because you know what? I don't want to hear what you're going to do for the next guy, because the next guy is not in my situation. So the guy in Inverary should be asking you, what are you going to do for me? The one in Parkway should be asking you that. And the one in Deepside should be asking you that. Each one in all those areas should ask you, because, Lauderhill is a big city. It wasn't that big before, but I mean, I remember when Lauderhill didn't include, it stopped like right off of 441. Now Lauderhill is like all the way down on Broward Boulevard.
So border-wise, we are west, just slightly west of University. We're up to Commercial Boulevard. We're all the way south to Sunrise Boulevard, and also actually all the way as far as Broward Boulevard because of Parkway, and
right.
We go all the way to 31st Avenue in certain spots too as well. So we're looking at, we have somewhere around 70,000 residents in the city of Lauderhill.
Wow.
So, by the way, let me just you remember those stats that I gave about the black votes? Shout out to one of my high school math teachers, Miss Patterson, who in her retirement is still continuing to educate our kids. And she asked me that, and I'll post those statistics. She says, is it possible to advertise those statistics on a chart so that it can be easily understood by our black constituents? If you want to hide something from blacks, put it in a book. but that's true. But
I've always heard that. But you know what though? I think one of the issues is, again, when people know, they can teach, and when they don't know, they can't teach.
Sure.
So yes, you're right that information is easily accessible right now with the cell phone. But the thing too is, a lot of these parents nowadays don't know what they're supposed to teach their children because they weren't taught it themselves. So now they have to teach themselves and teach their children. But then that comes back to where it becomes our responsibility, each one teach one, where, and that's what made me really wanted to do this show, start doing this talk show again, because now as a grassroots effort, I'm able to bring information to the community.
Right.
Everything I want to let them know, because I mean, there may be someone out there that's sitting there saying, what, Big Man Kelly is running for office? I didn't know that.
Right.
And it's because maybe they're not traveling in the same circle as you, but then so that's the thing though, because I don't think a lot of people realize the importance of our vote, and I don't think they realize not just the black vote but the immigrant vote as well, because a lot of us stop at green card instead of going to citizen. And I don't think they realize, the amount of people that have been here 20, 30 years or more and still have a green card. But you're paying taxes. You own a house. You own all these different things. And I mean, God forbid something should happen. You commit a crime or whatever. You could be deported, and there goes your houses, your cars, your your wife, your girlfriends, your mistress, whatever the case may be. I don't know.
You gonna get somebody in trouble, Steve.
Hey, I'm just saying, you know how they do,
But want me to tell you something? That's something that is important. First thing, I was when I was a young man, or excuse me, when I was a little boy and living with my parents, I lived in Lauderhill Lakes. My whole adult life has been spent living, except for 1 year when my twins were born. I lived in the city of Lauderhill my whole adult life. Okay, and so let me tell you what that means to me, culturally as a Black person. And see, and I when I say Black, that covers a whole rainbow of people. You're talking about Jamaican, Trinidadian, Haitian. I can go on and on and on and on. Lauderhill is a cultural melting pot. We have Hispanic people. We have, we have Asian people. We have Caribbean people. Let me tell you something. You can't live in Lauderhill without experiencing culture. It's not a reality. The reality is that we are different cultures. We're different subcultures. I happen to grow up with the son of Charles Jr., Charles Booth Jr., lived down the street from my mom and dad. So I went to school with Charles Booth, as in Charlie's Pastries. So, bro, listen, you can't grow up in Lauderhill without. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we would wait in line. The line would be down the block at Charlie's, because you can get a beef patty, a cocoa bread, and a drink for $1.50. That was part of that, right? That was part of that culture. And then next door, dude, going in the jerk machine. Oh my God! See, these are the things that I experienced. And then, someone who has grown up Black American. But I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I'm Jamaican by association, and I say that because musically I've been infused with the culture. My experience with God rest the dead, Gary Wong, and spending time in his studio and his record shop when he used to have it on 12th Street.
We're moving it to 19th.
Right. So listen, Lauderhill is a place of culture. You can experience. Listen, if you just take, matter of fact, we have like the Lauderhill food tour. If you take the Lauderhill food tour, you're going to experience everything from the Korean barbecue to some great Italian food to some good Jamaican food, some African American barbecue. Listen, bro, I love roti. Okay.
Wait. I don't want to put you on the spot. But I'm going to ask you between the two.
Don't ask the question. I know where you're going. You about to ask Joyce or Lilo?
Okay, I was gonna ask you, so I'm not gonna ask. But if people have been to Lauderhill, there's like two places to get that roti. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Well, let me just tell you this about the Lauderhill experience, and this is why I say Lauderhill for all. You look at Joy's. They started in the Lauderhill Mall in that one shop in the corner, and now they have a complex that's on the corner of 441 and 12th Street.
2-story building.
Right. But guess what? That's the kind of growth that we can have in Lauderhill, where you can start a family business and grow it into something that's generational. Now, look at this. They went from that small shop to that larger location. Job creation. That's job creation. Okay. Yes. I'll give you another perfect example. My parents owned the first Black-owned retail computer store in the state of Florida. They're retired now. We started that business in Lauderhill, right on 441, south of Oakland Park Boulevard, off of the busiest intersection. My parents stepped out on faith. Okay. And so guess what? My studio where I'm recording from right now, I'm in Lauderhill. Sharon, who owns the building, it's a great Jamaican woman who owns this building, where we have a lot of Black businesses that are flourishing. But we have all businesses that are flourishing in Lauderhill. It doesn't matter whether you're Black or whether you're white. Lauderhill is a great place to live, to work, to start a business, to raise a family. So when you hear, you said earlier about the things that we see on the news, we've got to continue to push our message. And our message is, this is a great place. Want me to tell you something? You might hear about what happened in Lauderhill on the news, but they're covering up what happened on the beach. Okay.
True.
Okay. So let's be honest. Every city has some kind of issue. The key is, what are you doing about the issues?
Right.
Okay. What do
And
you?
as a matter of fact, the business that I'm advertising right now on the banner right down below, she's in Lauderhill, just right across the street from the Lauderhill Mall on the south side of the mall. She's been there for like, oh gosh, Lynette has been there.
I know Lynette. We go to church together.
Okay, yeah.
One of my church sisters. I've bought insurance from Lynette over the years.
That's my first lady.
So that's the perfect example, Steve, of how you can be in Lauderhill, and it can be a great place for you to grow your business and grow your family and grow your livelihood. We are, want me to tell you something? We are still the gem of Central Broward County, and we need to get back to being that gem of Broward County. Is it going to take a little work? Sure, it's going to take a little work, and I'm prepared to do that work. You know, no matter. I'm ready to make the tough decisions. I'm ready to serve the people. I'm not going to make decisions based upon some developer that wants to come in and do this. If that developer wants to come in, it's got to look right for the city. It's got to be the best for the city and its constituents.
Hey, let me tell you a little quick story, right? Excuse me. Let me tell you a quick story about Lynette. This is just a little bit off the subject, but this is one of the reasons why we need to start doing business locally and with people that we know. All right. About 3 years ago, I went to rent a vehicle. My mom was here from New York, and all of us, we were going to rent a 15 passenger van and go down to Key West. We were going down there for the day. So anyhow, I went to pick it up the day before, which was the Friday, and this was about I picked it up probably about 4 o'clock. So anyhow, so when I got there and I gave the lady my driver's license and everything, she goes, "Steve, your driver's license is suspended." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "It says something here about you let your insurance lapse or whatever the case may be." Now the thing is, it didn't lapse. All right. But here's the thing. The state of Florida had it in the system. I picked up the phone. I called Lynette. I said, "Lynette," and I explained to her the situation. She goes, "No, it's showing fine in my system." She picked up the phone and she called the state of Florida. She got this situation. Now the lady at the car dealership, the car rental place, she was telling me, "It's so close to 5 o'clock, you're not going to get this resolved. You might as well come back tomorrow." I'm like, I got faith in her. I trust my insurance lady. She was able to she was able to do whatever she did. I don't know what magic she did with the state of Florida. I don't know what happened, but not even 15 minutes later, boom, the state of Florida website was updated. And this lady did not believe it. I'm like, that's what happened when you do business locally. Because if I call Progressive or if I call one of those places, I'll just be a number, and I wouldn't get it fixed that quickly. Even though it turned out to be a system, it's something with not with the insurance company itself. I guess they didn't report to the state. I don't know what happened, but by doing business locally, and Lauderhill has a lot of great businesses, this is the kind of service we can get from our own.
I'm glad you said that, Steve, because this morning I responded to a post, and one of the things that we hear about, and this is what I said in this post: too many times, Black business is associated with bad business, and that's not a reality 100%. Especially coming from working for my parents at ASA Computer Center. And matter of fact, Lynette was one of my dad's clients, by the way, just to let you know, one of my dad's computer clients. So we first thing, Black people are worth over $1 trillion annually. That's what we spend, over $1 trillion. You have countries that don't even have a budget that size.
Yeah, the GDP is $1 trillion. I know that for sure.
Right. So, but with that being said, we've got to start, and not just Black folks, but in our own local communities, we've got to do a better job of finding that Lynette who does insurance. Matter of fact, I got to give a shameless plug. Perfect examples. When I moved into this building over 2 years ago, Daisy has an insurance company that's upstairs, and I watch her try to do other things, try to go to dealerships, try to, she's out there in the streets trying to build her business. My office is right across the street from Phil Smith's Chevrolet.
Right.
And I got to be honest with you. One of my biggest gripes with them is you have all of these people that are right in this area, and there's very little advertising that they do inside the. Let me tell you something.
Exactly.
When I worked in the car business, that was one of the car dealerships. Remember when we went through the recession and they were closing down dealerships?
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the dealerships that was on the chopping block. We were at training, and Phil Smith was like the joke. They had sold like 3 new cars that month, which is a joke. And when I was at Lou Backroad, we were selling, let's say, 150 new cars plus whatever we sold used. My point is this. In the area that we live in, Lauderhill, we can support any business, whether it's a car dealership, whether it's an insurance company, whether it's an online radio station like mine and the Mature Life Radio. We have those abilities in our community. We have the ability to support. Want me to tell you something? I would love to see. Have you ever noticed on 441, we don't have any national food chains anymore? We don't even have a Red Lobster on 441 anymore.
There was a Swiss Chalet right across from where you are. There was a pizza just south of you. There were so many different things, and they're all gone. The only thing that's there now is on 441 in Oakland. You have the Burger King, the KFC. But here's the thing:
I don't count those because that's fast food. But
right, there are no sit down restaurants in Lauderhill.
Well, so one of the things that Lauderhill is doing is we have the 38th Avenue project. That's going to be downtown Lauderhill. That's the entertainment district. That's where they've been having the concerts. They brought in Genuine and Lloyd. They had a jazz concert. So that's going to be our Las Olas.
Right.
Okay.
And the food festival that they had before too. That's really great. I can't remember what was the lady's name that did that one. Can't remember her name now, but she did an awesome job. That the food and wine festival.
You're talking about the Solar Festival.
I'm sorry.
The Solar. Yeah, it's about the Solar Festival. Yeah,
so, right at the park. That was awesome. She did a great.
Now you see, I'm on point with what happens in my city. And let me just finish real quick. So that's going to be the entertainment district, and even when you look at the seat that I am going for, which is Commissioner Bates' seat. She's termed out and she's retiring. Commissioner Bates' seat has been the seat that has been responsible for jamming in the park. Okay. It's her seat. It's her seat that's been responsible for the MLK old school concert. So I'm going into that seat with that kind of experience from the entertainment side too as well.
The baton that she's passing to you. Yeah. Right. Jamming in the park was great. That's where I met Betty Wright, as a matter of fact.
Now you struck a nerve. Betty and I were very close.
I know. Yeah.
That was. I actually had the pleasure of emceeing her funeral, which was very, very. Let me tell you something. It was very emotional for me. She was a friend, a prayer partner, an advisor, and I'm going to let the cat out the bag. And I usually don't say this publicly. I've said it privately. But I was the one who was responsible for getting Betty Wright on Jazz in the Gardens. Mm-hmm. And I was glad to be a part of that process.
You did with Jazz in the Gardens as well.
Yeah, I've DJed Jazz in the Gardens probably like the past 6 years. We were actually just set to launch Jazz in the Gardens right before COVID-19 kind of hit. Matter of fact, I want to applaud Mayor Oliver Gilbert, who I respect as a friend and as someone who is an advisor and someone who has, I call Miami Gardens Wakanda. I joke. and let me tell you, we can learn a lot from a city like Miami Gardens because look at what we joke about the fact that before the only thing that was on that street with the stadium was a bunch of sand and a strip club. Yeah. But look at it now. You have major retailers that have moved into where Studio 183 was. When I watched them on an interview the other day, they're noticing how there's an influx of more Hispanic people trying to move to Miami Gardens. That's what you want. First thing, you don't want to push out the people that are there, which they have not done. That's the great thing. You can develop your city with all of this great stuff without gentrification.
Right.
And
And
that's what we need. We
yeah,
want
because I've seen Miami Gardens grow. I graduated from Norland High School, so I'm right from right there in the area, and I've seen it grow, like you said. You know, as a matter of fact, I remember when the stadium was nothing but trees and bushes and stuff like that. We used to ride our
sure,
bicycles over there before Robbie built that stadium. But honestly, and I'm gonna do a show too about black businesses and things like that, because like one of the things that you were talking about, black business does not mean bad business.
sure.
But one of the things too that we also have to look at is the business also has to remember black customers also matter, because you can't see a white guy walk into a business and says, "Good morning, sir, how are you?" And then a black guy walks into the business, "Oh, yeah, what you want?" That my dollars just the same. We need to start to realize that, I mean, you and I are friends. If I walk into your store and you're like, "Hey, Steve, what's up? What you want?" That's different. But if I don't know you and I'm coming into your store and I see a clear cut difference in the way we're treated, I'm going to say something to you about the difference in the way we're treated, because but we have to realize that just because we're the same color, or we're from the same country, or we're from the same area, whatever. If I don't know you, then I'm just a customer to you, and I should be treated with the same respect as the other customer.
Well, that's why businesses you can get with your CRA, and there's other things, and you can learn from other businesses that are close to you. My parents came from a corporate background when they started their business. And matter of fact, one of my father, he worked for a huge telecommunications company, which sits where Georgetown sits right now. But he was part of that customer service where, when the lines went down and businesses couldn't send, they were trying to send flowers to their mother in New York, and their company was responsible for transmitting the information. And when it went down, it was my father's division of the company that got it up and running properly. They did the customer service. So I come from a customer service background. And so learning to treat every customer with respect.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing too is, and I said this in that same post, is that just because it's a black business don't mean you always gonna get a hookup or a discount. It costs me as much money or more, whatever my product is. That and matter of fact, it usually costs me more because I'm not a huge franchise like a Walmart or, like you said, a Progressive Insurance. So my rates may be a little bit more expensive. But want me to tell you something? Perfect example. You just said what Lynette did.
Right.
They told you it couldn't be done. Okay. Because if you were with Progressive or had a different agent, they got to go through a bunch of processes before they can get the information that the state needs. Whereas Lynette can call the state and say, boom, this is what I got. You guys are mistaken. Please fix this for my client. And it happens instantaneously. So that's the great thing about doing business locally. And guess what? You may have paid a couple more dollars for your insurance than you may have with Progressive, but could you get that same response out of, and again, I'm not, because I have Progressive, I'm not downing them. Okay. But sometimes going locally will definitely get you that extra step that you wouldn't normally be able to have.
And I'll tell you, because I mean, and that's my thing. I tell people, I mean, because I've owned a business before, and the same thing. I'm not gonna give the discount, because let's be for real. You don't walk into Walmart and you don't ask them for a discount. At the time, I was fixing computers and selling computers, and the same people that would ask me for a discount off of $200 would gladly walk into. At the time, it was CompUSA. They'd gladly walk into CompUSA and write a check for $250. So you want a discount off of my $200, but you have no problem writing them $250. That was my issue. So I think that what we need to do is we need to treat each other with respect as customers and as business owners. Because if I treat you with respect as my customer, then I shouldn't have any problems with you paying me my money when I hand you that bill.
Right.
I even had to get to the point that I instead of listing myself as owner, like on my business cards and things like that, I listed myself as manager. And then they would say, "But you're the manager." I'm like, "Yeah, but there's an owner. I got to. I have to report to somebody."
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're like, "Can I talk to the owner?" Well, that guy's probably out on his boat somewhere. He's on his yacht or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just the manager. That's all. You know, and that was the excuse I had to use so that I could kind of fend off people from asking me for discounts.
Well,
You know?
As a DJ, let me tell you something. As a DJ, I run a DJ business. It's an actual company, Big Man Productions.
Right.
And when it comes to, let's say, doing somebody's wedding or a party, and they say, "Well, Kelly, so and so is $200 cheaper than you are. Can you do it at that price?" And I would look at them and say, "You want the good music, right? You want me to show up on time, right? You want me to have the best equipment." And see, that's another thing. I invest into my company.
Definitely.
For instance, I bit the bullet with Big Man Productions. I bought a $3,000 MacBook Pro, and I was like, "Oh, I wanted to throw up when I left the store because that was the most expensive computer that I've ever bought." But when you invest in your company, you will get a return on your investment.
Definitely.
So that's why when you go to an event, and I'm involved with the event, and my company is doing all of the infrastructure of the event, you're going to have great lighting. You're going to have great music. You're going to have professional sound. And the other thing is I come with a team. So I can't do it by myself. And that even alludes to the same thing that I'm looking at doing as being commissioner of the city of Lauderhill. There's a team at the city that makes things happen. So when you come to me as an individual, as a citizen, and say, "Kelly, we have this problem in the city. I need you to fix this." I'm going to say, "Okay, well, let's go see our city manager, Desiree, and see what direction we need to take to fix this problem that you're having in your area." And from there, it goes down to whatever department, whether it's code or whether it's something that the maintenance department can take care of. It goes from there. And I have some of those relationships because I've been working with the city already. Matter of fact, I put on the Lauderhill Career Fair that was sponsored by Commissioner Bates. I was one of the ones who made that event possible, where we had almost 800 people come out looking for. And I use the word job loosely. We specifically call these things career fairs because we were looking at bringing in companies that were going to pay people a living wage. We had the school board of Broward County. We also had the Lauderhill Police and Fire Department. We even had the city of Fort Lauderdale, which now this was the icing on the cake. The city of Lauderhill had positions available for prior felons. Okay. And I'm talking about jobs paying $35,000, $40,000, $45,000 a year with insurance, retirement. And these are things that we can put our returning citizens back to work, making a good job with a living wage so they can take care of their family and buy a house and pay their taxes and be a great citizen in the city of Lauderhill. So these are some of the things that I work on a daily basis. And I tell people, well, Kelly, somebody said, "Well, Kelly, your name should have been on the flyer." I didn't do this because I needed credit for it. I didn't do this when I actually started doing these. I did one in the city of Lauderhill and I did two in the city of Lauderdale Lakes. I didn't do this because I needed to see my name on a flyer. I did this because there is somebody out there who needs to find work, who needs to find a career, who needs to be making enough money so they can buy a home or at least live in a decent place and feed their family. And then at the end of the day, they've got that decent job where they can spend time with their families, which makes them productive citizens in the city of Lauderhill.
All right. So give me 2 minutes. I got to run another commercial real quick, and we're going to be right back to talk with Big Man Kelly about his campaign in the city of Lauderhill. Let me tell you about CCTV RX. With over 30 years in the security industry here in South Florida, they have proven themselves to be the first choice when it comes to security professionals. So whether you're trying to secure your home or your business, there's no other choice. Give them a call today for a free estimate. 754-213-2820. If your car could talk it would say call Curvin's Car Detailing Service. It's mobile and they can come to you no matter where you are in Broward County. Give Curvin a call, 954-549-8507, and tell him that Steve sent you.
Baby, won't you take me there? I want some real good food to eat. I want shucking and jiving, shucking and jiving. I want shucking and jiving, shucking and jiving, shucking and jiving. I want shucking and jiving.
Well, I know I got what you want. I know you like that jive shrimp. My son, fish, and them geechee grits. My granddaddy make you have a fit.
Right on.
I try to give you all of my best. I do it straight from the heart. Cook it straight from the soul. Now. Straight from the soul. Yeah. Straight from the soul.
Ooh, that's what it is, what it is. That's where it's at, that's what it is. Come on down and shuck it and jive and Cajun food with an old school groove. Our designers to get your taste palette back in line, baby. Follow us at We Shuck It.
All right, so we are back with Big Man Kelly.
You're making me hungry, Steve. I love that commercial, man. The shucking and jiving makes. I've actually heard of them. Yeah, I want.
It's good. It's good.
Once it's a little safer for me to be out fully in public, I would say, definitely want to go over there and get something to eat.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Listen, and that's the other thing too. There are a lot of great restaurants out there, you know, and a lot of good ones and a lot of great ones in Lauderhill. I mean, you know, so let me ask you, what kind of programs do you guys have, or what kind of programs would you like to implement to bring new businesses into Lauderhill and new restaurants, or even helping some of the ones that are doing business right now in the shadows, some of the hustles, if you will? How are you going to look to get them out of the shadow and to help them to register, things like that, make them a legitimate business?
Well, the first thing is that the city of Lauderhill right now, you know, there's a push for the 38th Avenue project, which is going to be our entertainment district. I've actually already introduced some people who are possibly looking at doing a restaurant there. Actually, several different people. That's the first place. And here's a great thing: if you are a business owner or a restaurant owner and you want to get involved with this entertainment district, the city has funds to assist you with build out. With the build out and certain things that you're going to need that will help your business grow in that area. Because like I said, that's going to be our Las Olas. They've already broken ground with the infrastructure changes. There's already a right behind the car wash on 19th Street and 441. There's the building right there. If you notice, there's new facades on that building. The owner of the building has revitalized that building. There's a brewery going in right there. So there's opportunities for restaurants, boutiques. So it doesn't just have to be a restaurant. There's opportunity in the city of Lauderhill to grow your business, and there are funds already in place to help you grow your business once you're there.
You know what Lauderhill needs? A cigar bar. I'm telling you, that's what don't
let my secret out. Shh.
For me, when I travel, that's one of the things I look for. I don't care if I'm in Nashville, if I'm in, wherever, if I'm in North Carolina, Virginia, New York.
So I'll let that secret out. And again, it's just conversation at this point. I don't know if you guys know, but up in West Palm Beach, I work at, I have a residency before the COVID-19 happened, was at Smoke and Cigar Lounge, which is actually a franchise. So I've been having conversations with Smoke and Cigar Lounge to possibly do something here with us.
Awesome. That would be awesome, because there's one right here in Pompano too, just off of Sample Road.
That's the same franchise, but the difference is the store that I work in West Palm Beach, that's like their flagship store. And so, I go there and DJ. We have karaoke nights some nights, and then I have old school R&B nights. So that's, again, you know what it is? In the city of Lauderhill, we are a place where you can be well-rounded in business, in entertainment, in residency, and living, and owning a place. We've got the whole 9 yards that you need to live in. Listen, great place to work, great place to live, great place to entertain.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. So, I'm already running over my time because, it's lunchtime, lunchtime talk. So what's the 1 minute wrap up that you would like to give to our viewers and to your potential voters out there?
I want to say simply vote for Kelly, big man Kelly Davis, in the up and coming election in November. It's very simple. I'm for Lauderhill for all. So it doesn't matter whether you live in Inverary, you live in Parkway, Deep Side, Shallow Side. I want to see us all grow as a city. And it doesn't, listen, this is a great city where we represent every aspect of living, whether you're Jamaican or Jewish, whether you're white or Haitian, whether you're Trinidadian. We have everything here that you want. And I want to continue to make sure that I propel that and keep us in that forward motion. I'm going to fight for home ownership. Okay. I'm going to fight for the individual person every single time. I'm not going to sit up here and want to have lobbyists come in that want to bring in, let's say, things that are not going to be beneficial to our city. So you want me to tell you something? I've always been the champion for the little guy. I'm going to continue to be a champion for a little guy. That's what I do. So I'm asking everyone to vote for me. And I'm also going to ask one other thing. If you guys would please go to my Facebook page, Kelly Davis for Commissioner, City of Lauderhill C3, and make a small donation. If it's $10, $5, $20, $25, whatever it is, that makes a difference in my campaign to get out the yard signs. Want me to tell you something? This is the biggest promotion I've ever had to take on in my life, but I'm proud to do it. And here's the thing. I'm in for the long haul. I don't need a job. But what I do want to make sure is that you, the person who is living in Lauderhill, whether you're living in that condo in Inverary or you're living in that house in Parkway or you're in an apartment on 55th or 56th, I need your vote, and I'm going to represent you every single time. So please, I'm asking you, vote for Kelly Davis in November for that great election. And once again, Lauderhill for all.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you being on the show. I mean, you did an awesome job on the show, and I appreciate it. I try to get as many people on here as possible to give people options and to let them know what the candidates are standing for. All right. Some candidates are scared to come on because, they don't want to they don't want to be asked the wrong question or whatever. But, you came on and that was great. I appreciate that. I was trying to get some of the others from the county and different things on here, but anyhow, so long story short, I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate you being on the show, and we'll chat later on. Okay.
Steve, once again, thank you. And look, see this. That's that fresh gear right there.
Let me bring that up. What is it? Oh, there you go.
That's customized. You know what I'm saying? I've only got about 3 or 4 of these made because they're custom made. So maybe I'll see if I can hook a couple of people up with these hats. Kelly Davis for Commissioner, City of Lauderhill.
Yeah, those are pretty expensive. That's embroidered, right?
Yeah, it's embroidered. So matter of fact, it would. Shout out to Frank Cornelius Jr. that does the embroidery for my hats. So maybe what I'll do is I'll bless somebody with one of these hats, because like I said, they're custom made, they're embroidered. So I want to do something different, and that's why I'm doing hats right now. You got the magnets on the car, but listen, I'm just looking forward to serving this community in the way that I've done since day one since I've lived in the community. So I look forward to representing you on that commission at the end of 2020.
All right, big man Kelly. Thank you very much again for being on the show.
Thank you.
All right, bye. So, guys, there you have it. You heard from Big Man Kelly himself. He told you about the things that he has planned for the city of Lauderhill, about the things he's been doing for Lauderhill, Lauderdale Lakes, and the surrounding areas. Because even though he's running for the city of Lauderhill, Lauderdale Lakes is right next door. And, I mean, you can't have one without the other. It's not going to happen. So he's been he told you about all the things he's been doing, how he's been in this community for so many years. All right, go ahead, give him a call, reach out to him on his website or on Facebook, but reach out, ask questions, talk to him directly. All right, remember something, candidates are there for you. you're not there for candidates, okay? So you have to make sure that you ask the candidates all the questions that you want to ask them and that you get out and vote. The most important thing is to get out and vote. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm not telling you, what party to vote for, whether you're Democrat, Republican, the Whig Party, yes, that's a real party, the Green Party, all these different ones. We only hear about the Democrat and Republican, but I'm not telling you what party or whatever. But you need to exercise the right to vote. You have to get out and you have to vote. All right. Now, also one of the other things too is to make sure you donate to a political campaign. Like Big Man Kelly just said, whether it's $5, $10, whatever. If you believe in a candidate, you believe in any candidate, you go out there and you donate to their campaign, because that means a lot. And you might think, oh, well, it's only $5. But here's the thing. If 100 people gave $5, that's $500. That can go a long way for yard signs, for car magnets, for T-shirts, for flyers, for palm cards. That could go a long way for so many different things. And that could be the difference between your candidate winning or losing. All right. So definitely get out there, go on your candidate's website, go on your candidate's Facebook page, Instagram, whatever, and definitely donate to their campaign. While you're out there, make sure you click like on Lunchtime Talk with Steve, whether it's on Facebook or subscribe on YouTube or whatever, and click that little bell so that every single time that we go live, you are going to be reminded that Lunchtime Talk with Steve is on. All right. If not, I'm going to call you up and I'm like, hey, we're on. No, I'm just joking. But anyhow, so let's go ahead and get this taken care of. And here goes the links. Big Man Kelly just sent them. He just posted them in here, so you guys can just click on that and go right to his donation page, and also his telephone number is right here. You can call him on the cell 754-246-3234. All right, guys. As always, I'd like to tell you, take care of yourself, take care of each other, get out there and do a random act of kindness for a stranger. If you see a person that does not have a vehicle and they need to get to the food bank, give them a ride. If you can't give them a ride or you don't want to give them a ride, bring the food to them. All right. But check in on someone, help someone, do something for someone, because one of these days you may be that someone that needs someone to do something for you. All right. All right, guys. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Actually, no, today's Friday. So I'll see you guys on Monday. Peace. Please visit lunchtimetalkwithsteve.com if you would like to be a guest or advertise on the show. If you're interested in any of the products or services you saw on the show today, or if you would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website, lunchtimetalkwithsteve.com.